It's loading up now. Okay. So we are live now. Sylvester.
So do I exit and then come back in on the live side?
We could try that. I'm not sure if okay, so you'll be prompted to log into YouTube account and thing. Fill in the title. Okay.
Yeah.
So it is we are live on that area. So let's see what happens. If we take it out, let me
No,
see.
you don't take it out. Let me be the one to get out,
Okay.
and then we test it. How I can come in and say it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to come back in. Now you see with the Zoom link that is live.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if it can come. Okay, no. Can you now? Have you logged in
Where?
to the YouTube the way it was saying? Because when you yeah, you see, it's even saying the content of this meeting is being sent to a third party. So you say okay, right?
Yeah.
Did you say okay?
Yeah, it already showed me everything I needed to see.
Oh, I needed to say okay on my
Yeah.
side.
So
Okay.
let me just
So let me go to African experts and see if it's live on African experts.
yes, it should be. I think that was one of the issues we faced that we didn't address.
Mhm.
So we have so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try
You
and
remember when he said this video is private, stuff like that? Let me try.
yes, I remember.
Can you try to send now a fresh link the way you did earlier?
For which one?
Now, the way Zoom has said it's being sent to a third party, has it
Mhm.
allowed you to, has it prompted you to log into the African Experts YouTube account?
Okay, so all right, so I see what happened. So the stream has finished. Okay. So I am going to start a new one.
Mhm.
Oh, my wife said you are live, but not in the scheduled live, and there is an echo. So we need to be live on the scheduled live. So
Mhm.
what I can do, she wants it to be on the scheduled live.
Yeah,
So
so how do we fix that?
let me go back. Live.
Yeah,
So
so how do we fix that?
do you hear it now?
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
back. All right. So that's our scheduled live, and I think I could verify and see if she
Oh,
has.
so I can go to the scheduled live and see how it's
There is
working.
an echo. She said there's an echo.
Yeah, so how do we fix that?
Do you hear it now?
Yeah. That's a good sign. It means it's working. Go to the
We take it out on
scheduled
live,
live and
the
see how it.
sound. Let me see if that would be much better. Um, let's make sure. So the echo will stop. But Sylvester, you could hear me well on the
Yes, yes. I'm trying to get into the scheduled live, but
you can't? It's supposed to be working now. It's public.
yeah. It's the one you shared with everyone, right?
Correct.
Or maybe it takes time to load. Okay.
Let me call my wife real quick and just make sure. Hey, brother, is it working?
I don't know. You ended it unless you started a new life.
Yeah, yeah, I did. I started a new life. Can you try now? Let me know.
Okay, just check your WhatsApp because I'll text you in WhatsApp.
Okay, bye. So she said I ended it, but I'm like,
No, the one that was on the unscheduled live. That's the one she said you
but
ended.
yeah, so this one here is the scheduled one.
Mhm.
So can you get it?
That's what I'm trying.
Okay, let me try. Let me go to the African expert. Maybe so I can see it. I'm there. We're there. Let me change my cameras.
Oh, can you just take a little bit of that? Can you take that link and send to me? Where you are seeing the YouTube link there that is showing where you are, the live where you are on the YouTube side.
Okay, on the YouTube side,
Yes, what you are seeing. That
actually,
link,
YouTube
then I
side.
can try to use
Yeah.
it.
So Rhoda said it's good.
Okay.
All right. Do you see her? Do you see her saying anything? Did you see it?
No, I'm not logged in there because
Okay.
when
Okay.
I'm Mhm.
How do I do this? Okay, I think I could do it like this. Yeah. Yeah, she said there's no echo. So Sylvester, that's the and I know we're live talking, but we have to fix this now. See if it works, please.
Perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's working. Can you say something? All right, there you go. All right. So we are good. So anyway, let us start again. After I hopefully probably be able to edit this in the when we start the process of editing.
Mhm.
Anyway, so Mr. Sylvester,
Yeah,
what's going on, buddy?
nothing much.
We decided,
Good weekend,
uh,
sunny.
huh?
It's a good weekend. It is sunny.
Sunny. It's still cold though.
Not
That-
as cold as the north.
oh, no, absolutely. They are seeing snow already.
Yeah,
Um,
those people are seeing snow and icing roads.
yeah.
Minnesota already started experiencing weather-related crashes. So
Oh my goodness.
we are
Um,
better off here.
can you see our discussion? You can see everything, right? On the live.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, okay. So we have some great reviews.
yeah.
7 people have
Let me just hear the volume, the sound, then I turn it off.
Can you see our discussion? You can see everything, right? It's working. Anyway,
Okay.
so
Yeah. Mhm.
so let's talk about what the African Expert is all about. I think that it's good for people to understand what's happening. Um, and interrupt me when you need to, please. So the African Expat, we've designed it to be a group of well-minded people trying to help us who are Africans in the United States, but also giving ideas and creating the awareness worldwide. But also, we want to educate people on how best to live in this country and help those who are back home. And in doing so, we have gathered a few professionals, from lawyers to nurses, teachers. We also have doctors. We have real estate professionals, and we are trying to create that relief we need. What do I mean? We need to be able to have our own without having help from every single person. And that involves a continuous networking of others. It's not just one country, it's all of us together. As long as you're Black, you're African, from what we know. And we need to start growing. Growing. We have people who are trying to get into politics now. We are going to encourage anybody who's trying to get into politics because that is very essential for us to know what's happening ahead of time. Right? I got into the government and I'm seeing what's happening for 2025, 2026. We're in 2024 right now, but there's a projection of what's going to happen in 2026. If you're not in there, you wouldn't know. So when those things come, it becomes a surprise and people start saying, oh, when was this announced? Yeah, you have to be in a way, in a place where you could get that information and plan ahead, right? So I think that we need to start making sure our people plan ahead at least a year ahead of time. Prioritize what you need, then let it flow. Sylvester, what do you think African Expert could help the people know, and how do you think it's going to help us solve our own problems as a continent in Africa? You're mute, Sylvester.
Thank you, Emeka, for that. And briefly put, I think whether you rise or you fall, it starts with mindset. So I think the biggest job we would have coming together to help one another rise is how do we adjust our mindsets? Because you cannot rise above your own thoughts and above your own beliefs. So where we start is with a very practical, organic mindset shift where we start believing more in ourselves, believing more in the fact that when we all come together, we have very different capabilities. And with these different capabilities come different possibilities. And with the possibilities come the realization of opportunities. So I'm just glad that one of the things we are discussing actively in African experts is how do we help people, whether here or in Africa, to start tooling our skills, what we call training, but we are just tooling our skills so that we develop capabilities that align with upcoming and existing opportunities. Because when you talk about what will happen in 2025, 2026, 2030, somebody has to know what kind of skill sets will be needed so that we don't just cross our fingers and say, as a trained accountant, I, Sylvester, is waiting for an accounting job. What if the future is in medical finance? It will then take me a very short time to pivot in that direction. So it's about helping people understand that it's not opportunities are not out there to align with your capabilities and your competencies, but you retool your competencies continuously to align with the opportunities that are becoming available over and over and are increasingly becoming available as the world changes. So the awareness, the strategic partnerships, collaboration, unity of purpose, because every race, and this is not racist, every race looks out for themselves. It's because as human beings, we are engineered to be somehow very individualistic, because you start with the individual, you move to family, you go to community, you move to country, then continent, then the globe. So there's never any problem with any ethnicity or an ethnic group coming together to look out for themselves. It doesn't mean they necessarily want to harm anybody else. And what we have seen here, even organizing themselves financially, organizing themselves socially and strategically, when you look at the Hispanic community, they have started taking the direction that Indians took, and Indians took that direction that the Jewish people took. So looking at people who can come together and for, say, every dollar you get in the African community, even be it here in Dallas, or be it in Minneapolis, or be it wherever in the world,
Yeah.
you can create good small businesses that are reputable, that can be trusted, so that someone is motivated to spend 2, 3, 4 times, even 6 times the
Yeah.
money changing hands within African or Black businesses before getting out of the community. That is how you build riches. That is how you grow your wealth. So
Yeah.
my thinking, all this cannot work until the mindset is fixed. So the primary goal, or the primary obligation, the mission here, and it should be, how do we move people step by step into that direction? How do we then visualize an African immigrant who is aware, is
Yeah.
productive, and is making meaningful contribution that is creating advancement and meaningful progress?
Yeah.
So that's what I would see is how I would start off with the
Yeah.
African experts. Yeah.
Yes. So I think as we say this, we also want to talk about the current administration. Um, what, how do you, so I know we're going to bring in a professional to talk to us very shortly. Um, how do you think, so, let me get your first impression about, the administration coming in. What do you think about Trump winning the 2025 presidency? We'll start with that. We're going to let Mr. Yemi Salu talk to us very shortly. But what's your own take before he starts? And for guys, Yemi is a real hardcore politician. So we'll let him talk, but I want to get Sylvester's insight on what he thinks first, and we'll let Mr. Yemi talk to us. So what do you
Okay.
think is best?
My point of view is usually more centrist, and I try to be disinterested where I am interested, but I don't want to stay any side or take any
Yeah.
side. But in the very long pool, this is how I look at politics. Politics, in its primary definition, in its original term, politics was meant to be defined in very few words: affairs of the people. Just 4 words. Politics is affairs of the people. Whether you are talking economic, social, whatever, it's affairs of the people.
Yeah, it
And
is.
that's why that involvement is very important. Having said that, is that uh, every party, or every flag bearer, or every individual who takes leadership of any country,
Yeah.
and Donald Trump is no exception, comes to power with their own vision. That number one. And number two, it doesn't even matter who is in power, right?
Yes.
Whoever is in power wants to really, really succeed. So
Yeah.
what I would encourage everyone to do is, when you are looking at an administration, you have to avoid the mindset, the campaign mindset.
Yeah.
Wherever you are during the campaigns, that becomes irrelevant. So you start looking at, what are these people doing? What is the new administration doing? Like right now, all I want to know is, what does Trump want to achieve with his second term presidency? And how can we put ourselves in a position to take advantage of opportunities that arise from those policies? So instead of people being stuck in the pre-election euphoria, I
Yeah.
would tell people to now take more time and look into those policies, look at what loopholes exist in the ideas being fronted and the programs being implemented, so you can take advantage of it for your own advancement, because this is how systems work. You either take advantage of a system or a system takes advantage of you, but you have the choice. So I would leave it at a place where I say, and this is with every government actually. After elections, I always try to just look at a government. Okay, what is in it? How will it affect this class of people, this category? And with all those challenges that arise in every administration, how do we take each challenge and make it an opportunity? Because challenges are not a bad thing. Challenges mean there's a problem to be solved, and solving a problem is an opportunity. And if you serve, you get. So how are you going to take advantage of that for your business, for your community, for everybody else? That's how I would look at it.
Yeah. So let me introduce Mr. Yemi Salau. Yemi, so Trump won. We want to know what the next steps are. First of all, let me get your own thought process about the new administration coming in.
Well, good morning, everybody. Well, when you have a new administration coming in, there's always an opportunity for change, an opportunity to do things different. And being we have an administration that had been in power before, so technically it's a second term, even though it's not consecutive. So what we can expect is everything he campaigned on. But number one thing is lots like my brother said, there's a lot of promises and rhetoric that's been said during the campaign. But one thing about when you get into office is about reality, that there has to be compromise. Just like I read an article about Chuck Schumer, recently, talking about bipartisanship, even though prior to that, when they had the majority, they were talking about killing the filibuster. So, and the ironic thing about it is that prior to this, there's a former senator called Harry Reid. He was the former majority Senate leader. He killed before the nominees had to get about 60 votes to come in. But he killed that when they were in the majority. I think they were in the super majority at that time.
Yeah.
So literally, if Trump has all the Republicans in line, he can get everybody. But if nobody is, monolith, because everyone has different personalities and different goals. But if the Republicans are in line, he can get everybody, he wants in his administration in. But the main things which his mandate was given, this election came down to two things. It came down to, the economy and immigration. So those two things have to be his main focus. And if he doesn't do that, his party will pay during the midterms. So those are the two priorities he has to focus. So we should look towards those changes in those areas first. The first 100 days when he comes into office.
Yeah. So here's my question, and Sylvester, please jump in when you need to. So, Trump is in. As it pertains to Africans, are we better off having Trump versus the Biden administration? And if you could tell us, what do you think we are? What will be the difference? What do we benefit as a people for the man coming in now? And I'm saying this in reference to a lot of banning that he did back then when he banned, Muslim countries and some African countries from coming. So are we better off with him, or that's not his focus? Because immigration is really big. So What's your take on that?
Well, I could go first. The whole thing about this is that, there's a few years ago when Goodluck Jonathan went to the White House and Obama was
President of Nigeria. Yeah, president of Nigeria.
president of Nigeria. Okay, yeah. He went there and said, "Help me fix Nigeria." That was so ridiculous at the time. Like, you are president, what are you doing? The reason I'm saying this is that it is Africans are divided into two subcategories. There's Africans in Africa, and the Africans in of course in America. So my main thing is America supports legal immigration, and illegal immigration, those two things are different. So, no administration favors, for the most part, I guess on principle, wants to bring in, people that will cause problems or people that are breaking the law into the country. So the thing of what I was trying to get is that Africa or Africans should be more, regardless who is in power, it switches every, 4 years. So it doesn't matter. And America's policies are to favor America, not Africans. So we should remember that. But I'm not saying that we cannot enjoy
Good point.
some good policies, which we will. But
And
the whole question.
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so what you just said now has to become an obvious statement that America and American politics is for Americans. It's not for anybody else. We are not the focus of the American politics. It is the Americans, right? But are we better off? Where are we? Because so give an example. I'm asking this question because I had a lot of people when he was in power before, so nervous about doing anything. Some people who had prior history of something bad they did, maybe when they were younger. Everybody was nervous. Some people got deported that had really established themselves in this country. So, what is your take? Are we better off? Now, if you're a business person, you're really happy, obviously. But in terms of safety, confidence,
Okay.
as Africans, how are we supposed to interpret the new administration coming in? If you were to talk to Africans now, what are you going to tell them it's the advantage to having Trump in there versus when Biden was there? What do you think?
Well, like I said, in terms of safety, we could go. I'm gonna deal with Africans in Africa for now because it's two different things. In terms of safety, is that the Trump administration, because I read something a while back, is they are more gonna clamp hard on terrorists. Because I read, back when Goodluck Jonathan, wanted weapons and all that, Obama refused. But during the Trump administration, those weapons were given to Nigeria. When I say given, they were sold, so it wasn't charity. So let's remember that. So they were given those weapons. Then, in terms of, we know, although it's not a major story, a lot of religious persecution in Africa, especially in Nigeria. The Trump administration was very, very, they were clamping down on those terrorists, especially like Boko Haram, and giving them all the weapons they needed. When I say give, they were sold, so it wasn't charity. So things like that. Then also the Biden administration, they cut aid, which was for AIDS. It's we have Christians organizations that go to Africa that help with AIDS, the AIDS population.
Mhm.
So Biden cut that, is a program that was started under George W. Bush that Obama kept because it was so successful. But during the Biden administration, that was cut. So hopefully, of course, I can't predict 100%. I will hope that that will go up, will get restored, during the Trump administration. But one thing that as Africans, is I read a while back is a lot of military bases coming up in different areas in Africa. The question is having foreign, troops in a sovereign country, are they training the troops or are they there for their own reasons? So these are things that Africans have to come, to grips with, and especially all these debts that, because America is late to the game, which happened mostly during the Obama administration. China and Russia, they are, making deals and loans with various African nations. So, that's where our concern should be more. America is kind of late to the game on this, although they're trying to catch up with the, I think it's the American Command, but that one is not as much as the Chinese influence in Africa.
Right. So quick question, let me say this real quick. I like your point. It makes sense because we have to open our eyes to other things now. Our conversation is based on the African community, right? How does it help us? Because we could talk about, different things we don't believe in as Africans, about, other sexes that we don't condone now. That's not our problem here. Or we could talk about other things that is happening, a lot of corruption. That's not our problem. We need to focus on what help this will guide us through, because 2025, 2026, we have a lot of issues like housing. Okay, apartment housing is getting so expensive, and the few things we really need to make sure that will come through for us, so that all this work we've done, right? Because everybody knows, Africans work as hard as possible to be able to get things done. A lot of us have 2 jobs, some even have 3 jobs. So I think Mr. Kevin Long is going to come in here, and he's opinionated, and I think that we should hear him out too. So, Mr. Kevin.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Kevin.
Sorry.
Before Kevin, my brother, welcome. Let me just cut you short a little bit, because I'm trying to stay with how I've looked at over the years the Democratic Party policies, like since I think when I read the history, beginning around 1950s during Truman's time, coming into Eisenhower, or going all the way, you'll find that Democrats tend to focus more on social programs, except lately they started also dipping down in economic programs and digging in even in the SBA. For the first time, they were showing, the Biden-Harris administration was showing a lot of focus in that, while they are also, they tend to quote unquote have overreach, Democrats tend to want to, well, it's American general foreign policy, but it depends on how party play with it. The Democrats tend to be a lot more or too much outward looking. But Republicans, especially someone like Trump, they want to be inward looking. Like, I don't care about African countries. You remember what he even described them as something horse countries. And you will find that when you look at, say, a utilitarian level, like, for example, when you look at the people who criticize, and rightly so, that aid is hurting Africa, when you look at dead aid, then you would say that the Democratic Party doesn't help Africa that much. But when you look at the Republicans, they always tend to want some sort of direct exchange, like trade more than aid. And that might also be helpful. So when you look at both sides, then you begin to say that you don't know how it will go, but we'll look at the policy. But finally, because I'm now trying to address how these things affect us locally here, is that you will find that if Trump decides to push more on what he was saying, like a more fair, even if possible, cutting how much the top tech, which again his policies have never supported, to ensure that big businesses are not gutting the individuals too much, while his policies last time actually did the opposite. It kind of supported those very wealthy, was saying that they are taking too much and leaving everybody struggling. But something else that we won't overlook, especially Black people, is that you will now start seeing a lot more aggressive behavior, especially in red states and states that have stand your ground policies. Maybe I'm just too observant. Maybe I'm just too observant. But I've even noticed that all these guys who drive double cabs on the highways, the day after election, they were driving funny. And that could have been an observation bias because I was expecting it. There's some show of bravado. And yesterday, I watched something on the news where there were people who were dressed in that, like the KKK attire, and they were just marching across some street. I don't remember. I saw it on TikTok. But the thing is, I didn't pay much attention because kind of it was in my background. And I'm talking of observation bias here.
Yes.
So there will be good things, there will be bad things. But bottom line, what I always ask everybody, how do you take the good and run with it, and you manage the bad? Because either party will have their bad side and their good side. So we become the good finders. Let us find something good in what is happening and take advantage of it. Let us never lose sight of that. Yeah.
So let me ask you, Kevin, so that we'll come in a soft landing way. So Trump is coming in, and you could see the stock market doing such a great job. Why do you think that's happening? And I know you're going to tell us about facts about your displeasure, but the stock market is doing good, right? Tell us what's happening, and what's your own interpretation of the new administration coming in?
I'll probably preface this statement with my comments in the chat. I'm probably too radical, but probably not for what in the way that most people would think, right? I'm probably too radical because I'm still a proponent for truth and facts. Everything else is emotion, opinion.
Correct.
In order to be successful in the wheel, you have to either administrate truth, fact, or change the narrative so that those point in your favor. There's not a lot of different ways to play the game. But why? To answer your question, because he knew. I'm sorry. The powers that be in tech on Wall Street, they benefited from 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 Trump. And at the end of the day, they want to stay in business and they want to continue to increase profits. So for them, it's not even emotional; it's a business decision. And their hope is that, or has been, that it won't be so bad or so difficult that it can't be salvaged. They feel that it has been, or that they have been on the underdogs of major decisions for some time, and I'm talking about the right. And we are in a season of retribution. Come on, think about it. Cancel culture. We're not in that season. We're not in the season of forgiveness. It's a season of retribution. And we should be concerned. I have to go back because I think that the only way I hear about bipartisanship, I hear about we need to heal or now's the time, but I'm sorry, I'm kind of old school. If you slap me and before I can get past this thing, you say I'm sorry. And it doesn't even seem ingenuine. It's sorry so that you can return to whatever favor you had prior, not from contrition. Then it's hard for me to hear you pass this thing. That's why I say when I hear about the immigration, but it's real hard to see and hear people so vehemently talk about immigration when I remember that this is really not your wallet. You assumed this wallet from someone else, and now you're upset because others are wanting to get in the wallet. So full circle, facts is simply this. There are reasons, and it's no longer about qualifications and morals. It's more about, and that's both sides. I'm transparent. It's both sides. It's more about who can get my agenda across the line. And so that answers the tech question. It answers the agricultural question. Unless we deal with how do we deal in a world where we still expect some type of equality, some type of rules, some type of versus retribution in whatever it takes, or whoever will get my agenda across the line, you got my vote. We messed up evangelicals when we didn't say anything. We saw all of this stuff going on, but we saw Trump could get them across the line. And now the repercussion,
Yeah.
we have to see
Kevin.
what happens without guardrails.
Well, Kevin, I understand where you're coming from, and Yemi made some valid point. But what happened to Black people? They voted for him more this time
Ignorance.
than
Ignorance.
any
We as a people don't
You feel it's
understand
ignorance,
politics.
or do
We
you
don't
feel it's
understand.
ignorance, or do you feel like they felt like what the other side was telling them was just not enough to pay their bills? Because I'm saying the economy coming up, or the numbers from the stock market. If you have money in the stock market right now, Kevin, you are making money, right? So are we going to put emotions versus actual things that are happening that will benefit us? Because I know you've made money, Kevin. I know a lot of us have made money with the stock market. Okay, so let's not BS ourselves. I'm not trying to be politically correct, but what is it about him that more Black people, and I don't know, Sylvester, the numbers, but I think they said about 30% more Black
Yeah,
people for him. But what happened? How did the ignorance when they are making
we
that
don't
money?
know. We don't understand. We as a people don't understand American politics. Let's go back. Let's go back to when Barack Obama won. One of the most powerful and influential people in Congress in the last 50 years, by the name of Mr. McConnell, said that night, we're going to make this a one-term president. If you ask everybody or most, I challenge you, the next time you have the conversation about economy and he was going to bring it, ask them to define what a lame duck president is. Most of them don't understand that it takes two. I'm gonna break it down for the young folks that's on. It takes 2 terms to get your thing off. You want to make, because the first term you turning back what the guy before him did. So what we feel is, I've heard it over and over, and we all heard it. I was doing better during Trump, though, man. I can't ignore I was doing better. Why? He inherited 8 years. Obama had 8. He wasn't a lame duck. He was. Now I don't agree 1,000%, 500, even 100.
Right.
But it takes 2 terms to really turn things around. And so I'll stop right there because
Yeah.
there's a lot to go. But that's what I think. I see
Yeah.
that. I see my brother's hand, Yemi.
Yeah. So what happened? We had more Black people vote for Trump this time. Do you feel it's ignorance? Do you feel it's because what do you feel?
Well, it's just like when you go for a wedding, you have, chicken or fish. So it's not ignorance. I'm not gonna, every electorate has to be earned, not taken advantage of. So Trump is a unique candidate. That's, like I said this all along, a lot of people is really hard to decipher because when Hillary ran against him, she wanted him. She thought he was going to be a walkthrough. And we could see the 16 other candidates that were governors, entrepreneurs, senators, they found out the hard way. So Hillary found out the hard way. And I guess Kamala Harris found out the hard way too. He's a very unique candidate. We all know Trump he's from New York. He was a Democrat. Then for a while, he flirted with the Reform Party, and now he's a Republican. So Trump is somebody that's a businessman. I've read all his books. Yes, he's arrogant. Yes, he's shrewd, but that's how successful businessmen are. We got to take out emotions from these things. And nobody's perfect, obviously. The numbers don't lie. We could go in and look at what the numbers of Obama administration was and what Trump's administration was. The numbers don't lie. I have all the numbers there, not on the top of my head. So don't say inherited this. Obama inherited a disaster. We can all admit that when the recession was real.
Yeah, the war in Iraq and yeah.
No, the mortgage crisis and all that.
Oh
With
yeah.
brothers and the financial, fall. So that's real. I experienced that. I went through that. So that's not no one could deny that. But Obama had a super majority. I think he had about 60 senators, Democrats. Of course, we wanted out the independent too. And he had the House. So he had literally a trifecta. What did he spend his political capital on? On the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare. That's what his priority. So you have the supermajority, and you spent that on that. So he could do whatever he wanted to pass at that time, at least before he got, according to him, shellacked during midterms. So the whole thing about it, the reason the stock markets is going up is that they know that the difference between the Trump administration and the Biden administration is the Trump administration is going to be more business friendly. The Biden administration, because Biden technically, you can label Biden, I'm not a fan of Biden, but you can label Biden a Republican because he shifted wherever, Biden is the one that pushed Ronald Reagan to even be more hard on crime in the 80s. We all know about the crime bill. So, and the Democrats were trying to reshape themselves because for many years in the 70s and 80s, the Republicans, even the 90s too, the Republicans shaped the Democrats as soft on crime. So Biden had presidential aspirations at that time. He wanted to go overboard, tough on crime. Then we know who the victims were, the minority communities. All these are facts.
Yeah, I know.
So the main thing about the reason the stock market is going up is the regulations. People know the regulations are going to be less and they're going to have a business-friendly administration. Trump, in a sense, doesn't really have, he's not like an old school conservative. He doesn't have like a strict ideology like most politicians. He is about making the deal. So he should be the best president for, Black Americans and every other American because he is all about making deals. That's what Trump's administration is going to be about.
Right.
And, if we could talk and benefit from those, we'll do good because we all know in the IT sector, there were a lot of jobs. The economy was good, really good. So it's not a feeling. We lived through this. I know for myself. But like I said, I don't get emotional because everybody should make money regardless of which administration is in power. But insulting the whole Black, people that are ignorant, that's blasphemy. Other people could vote how they want to vote. They vote for different issues. Some people could vote for religious issues. Some people could vote for economic issues. Like a friend of mine, and she had to remind me about this. Trump was president when she had COVID. She was, literally, in the ICU. Trump was the one that signed the I can't pronounce, but it starts with an R. Is it Remdesivir or something like that? He made it that the average Americans could go through that trial program. So that saved her life. And that's why she voted for him. So that's a personal reason for her. Everyone has a personal reason. And let's stop, there's going to be many injustice. Black Lives Matter happened during a Black president. So that's a fact. So
Yeah.
there's going to be injustice by police. There's going to be injustice by all these different people. So we can't label it on the president.
Right, right. Okay. Quick question for Kevin, who wants to talk. Kevin, what are you looking forward for, or what positive message can you give for the new administration coming? What are you looking forward to that will help? Because yes, we know some things may not be as planned as we wanted, but as Black people, as Africans, what are you?
Emeka,
Yeah, go
sorry,
ahead.
sorry. I know Kevin wants to respond to that. I hope I don't derail you, Kevin.
No.
Yeah, there's something I want you to look at, Yemi. I know you pay a lot of attention to politics, and actually, I don't look at this administrative orders from the political side. I just look at the business economic side, right? And I got interested to study it since Truman, when Eisenhower came from Europe with
Yeah.
building the interstates. I might not be a politician, but I really pay attention. So, there's a difference between rhetoric and what someone felt as an individual and what statistics say. So, how do you reconcile? And I'm not challenging what you felt when Trump was president, and I don't even want to explain my understanding of what the Obama overflow was, right? And I cannot say that, and I have to declare why. Before I decided to be very centrist in politics, I was in the Obama campaign of 2008 and I was in the Obama campaign of 2012. So I will not even talk the overflow. But then how do you reconcile Trump being good for business while he advocates tariffs? And I can tell you, if you bring 1 million economists, you will not explain to me that tariffs are good for any economy. Number two, how do you explain that net job loss is still good for the economy? Because since I don't remember the exact president. It's only Trump who has have a net job loss. Like there were more jobs when he got into power. And by the way, that is after adjusting for COVID. So those are the things that I try to explain. I know there are some small businesses that really benefited from the Trump presidency. I know that for sure, and I'm not challenging, but I'm looking at the overall economy. How do you reconcile tariffs? Because tariffs is actually, for non-economists, they think that tariffs is a deterrent to importation and everything. Tariffs play only one role. Tariffs is inflationary. When somebody tell you, I will bring tariffs, he's telling you, I'll just make goods more expensive. There's no other explanation. It is a very basic thing. And then now the net job loss. Those two things, I struggle with them. Okay, Kevin, I just wanted Yemi to digest that as he thinks
Sure,
about his position.
sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's some good food for thought there. And you all know me, but the audience may not. I'm a Marine, so I'm intense anyway. So I want to make that a disclaimer because I really try to take emotion out of it. The only thing I'm unable to do is I don't have a good poker face. So most people can tell when I'm surprised or when I say, "That is an interesting thought." That's a road I don't know how they got down there. So I don't have, but I really try to deal with facts, and so
Kevin,
it's different. Yeah,
can you say that one more time? That you are a what?
I'm a Marine.
Can you tell us when you served just a little bit because people need to understand where you're coming from and understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in politics and serving the government, please.
Yeah. I'm a third generation military person. I served in the United States Marine Corps as a military policeman, SRT, back in during that Desert Shield and Desert Storm. So our unit went over to Iraq on the USS Iwo Jima.
1991, or I mean, sorry, 1998. When was this?
19, I'm getting old, and you starting now. Have me telling my age besides my grade. We went 1990, August 4th, 1990 is when I believe, or right around that period, within a week or so. The reason I remember is because my birthday is August the 8th, and we were shipping out that week, right around that unit. And so I speak from one having served in the military that was apolitical from almost top to bottom. And now we're going to see politics infiltrate the military, and that is going to be of great concern. Uh, when I say ignorance, I don't mean the negative connotation of ignorant as some use it. I mean ignorance as either absence of fact or misinterpretation of fact. So I'm ignorant on a lot of things, but I'm not an ignoramus, if that makes sense. So I guess when Black people reconcile and things that uh, the vaccine that Trump signed. Well, I mean, you half the world was dying. Everyone was looking. And so we needed to be the leader. We had to be the leader out front, like we have been in the past. And so the way to get a great legacy as a president is to have a great 4 years. And so I don't think that Trump makes decisions and thinks about us as Black people. Count the number of appointees that are going to go up for nomination. We have a masculinity, we have a misogyny problem in America. We can't just act like these things don't exist, and now we just say kumbaya and everything is going to be fine. I'm not saying break out your sticks and let's go to war. I'm saying at least before you tell me you're sorry that you slapped me, let me get some of the sting off. Let me have the opportunity to really evaluate, are you sincere? Because I got to decide whether I'm going to allow myself to be vulnerable again. So I say his policies, all of it, the reality is more than half the country picked him. So at now, no sense of being mad. It just hurts me when we don't understand politics and we don't understand or we buy into, because there is a narrative on both sides, right? There's two sides to every coin, and then there's the edges. I tend to try to live on the edge so I can peek over and see both sides and then come up with an educated decision. If I make decisions only on the head side, I'm going to come up short 50% of the time.
Right. But Kevin, is there anything you're happy about that? Because look, he's going to rule, right? And the best thing we could do is support the guy. So
I'm gonna get some business tax breaks.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get some business benefits. I'm gonna get some. My business side is going to benefit in the short term. You heard Elon just come out and say, I hope you heard it, the American public may feel some results of our changes in the short term.
Yeah, wow.
Wait a minute. Now, everybody that was coming, because it was better when we was on the Trump. Okay. Now we just get to sit back. I am all for working out. We got to work together. It's just that I cannot pretend, and I will not vocalize that he's for me. He's not. He's for himself. He's for his agendas.
Right.
My only reason that I would blindfoldedly almost vote for Kamala Harris, and I did, was because I felt like No, she's not the perfect candidate. No, I don't give me the perfect candidate in the last 47 that we've had. None. But at least my daughter would see that we actually can. She can get at that table.
Right. Okay.
It was
Well,
my having a seat at the table is important to me.
yeah.
Them telling me, no, I got you, stand outside, and then I'll bring you something. Let me see. I don't know. Is that what y'all have for dinner? How I know?
Yeah. Well, okay. So Yemi, check this out, right? What Elon Musk said is true because I mean these guys don't have time to lie. It's all about the business. But do you fear that if we are spending and there's so much money being gushed out, it wouldn't push us back into a recession? Like because this you can see the stock market, you can see what's happening. I mean, look at Bitcoin. It's maybe by the time this is added to the whole world, it's probably reached 100,000, right? Per share, pay Bitcoin. Like, what's going to happen on the long run? Are you saying this is going to be sustainable the whole 4 term? Like, what's going on? How should we interpret what Elon Musk said? And I think Sylvester has a question for you, but go ahead. Jimmy, are you on mute? Go ahead.
Well, first of all, Mr. Kevin, thank you for your service. And I have to address the job loss. People just throw numbers. I deal, like Mr. Kevin, talk about facts. We have the numbers. There's one thing people always talk rhetoric. Everyone knows this. Even people that that's so anti-Trump. That even with COVID, it was even a squeaking loss in 2020, if we call it that. So the country, as I say, as a person, I know in my sector, in IT, we know how much things were much better. This, and this is just being neutral. This last administration was a failure. And guess what? Kamala Harris was on that table. She had a seat at the table. And what did she do? She failed. She was a bad candidate. She was a bad candidate. I do not agree with Hillary. She was my senator when I was in New York. But one word no one will say about Hillary is not qualified, or competent. You can use other words, but you won't say any of those words about Hillary. Kamala Harris was a disaster as a candidate. So I'm so happy. I'm so happy she lost because this is not what we want. The first female president. Even Bill Clinton just came out and said the first female president is going to be a Republican. That's Bill Clinton said this, last week. So we want someone competent. I wanted a race. Kamala Harris was incompetent. She couldn't even answer questions. Are you different from Biden? They even have taskers. You're going to see the difference between her as vice president and J.D. Vance as vice president. J.D. Vance wasn't my pick. But guess what? He exceeded expectations.
Right. Well, okay. So what's going to happen in the next 5 months? Is the gas price going to go down? Is the food price going to go down? Because they have it now. They're going to have it now.
Let me tell you something. It's like I tell people, don't you notice during an election, and this goes with for all administrations, how the prices went so down? It was hovering around 220 something. Now it's back to like 27. This is the gimmicks they play every election done. Anyone I can put money on it, and anyone could tell me if I'm wrong with this. The whole thing about it is that Biden he fell hostage to the radical progressives in his party. They're talking about they put so much restrictions on the energy sector. It's ridiculous that they want us to get oil from Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, places with bad human rights records. When we could get some of those, you want to call facts. America was a net energy independent country under Trump. So the prices are going to go down. Energy has a lot to do with a lot of things. So if that could get fixed, then also it's all common fact. What Biden did was the strategic oil reserves is meant for, even Obama said it, it's meant for disaster, when
Emergency.
there's turmoil in the world. Biden used the strategic oil reserves politically. When the prices were up, the elections were coming,
Yeah.
that were released to the market, selling it to China and all these other countries.
Right.
So the whole thing is prices are gonna come down. Like I said, we got to take emotions out of these things.
Yes.
No administration is for you. Let's just put it like that. No administration is for you. We have to make them be for us. So just like as Black voters, we have to be educated. We have to make sure our voices are heard. Not be all having emotions, and we can't just sit out 4 years. We don't even know after Trump's term if some other Republican is gonna win or if a Democrat is gonna win. We don't know. So you can't sit out. You have to be a negotiator. You have to be on the table, regardless who is in power. We could all say Biden. You said all the stuff about Biden.
Yeah.
Does Biden administration care for you? We can even go there with the policies.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up.
Does Kamala Harris care for you?
Yeah.
All she said about the only competent thing she could speak about throughout the election was abortion.
Yeah.
And we all know and it's all lies. If the candidate could just be lying and lying and lying and lying, Trump was not for. I be sounding like I'm a spokesman for Trump, but Trump wasn't there for an abortion ban or against IVF. But she kept on lying about those things.
Yeah.
Then she's. Let me just finish this last point. Then she's tagging along with people, neocons like Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney. So you have no morality. I remember in 2004 what names Dick Cheney was called, and this is who you want to tile around with. So the whole thing about it is, let me, one more point. The military, we like it or not, and like I said, God bless your heart for doing your service, serving your country. People want to say it's apolitical, but regardless of its policies, Biden withdrawing from Afghanistan, political. Going to Iraq war, political. So so it's always political influence. And I had a chance, but
we get no point.
Okay, let me just leave that there.
Yeah. So Sylvester, pretty much for the Africans and our people watching, basically, I think in this administration, what we've come to realize, the administration coming up, is that we are basically going to be on our own. So we want to take this moment to talk to everyone, and we can talk about what we do and how we're going to help the community and how we want everyone to grow. Sylvester, do you want to start with how the African Expert is going to help?
Because we've really gone over our time, so I really want to take less than a very short time, really. But something I really want us to, I really agree with Yemi that no administration is for you. You have to be there for yourself. But I think if you are going to really look at politics as an unpartisan thing and look at it as affairs of the people, then you have to go really long in the cycles, how you analyze things. Because Yemi, in real factual sense, Biden didn't withdraw the military from Afghanistan. He followed something that was already laid down. That thing was settled before. What I don't agree with is the approach, but the withdrawal date was already set, even before Biden was sworn in. And if you follow it, you will find it. It's right there. It's public knowledge. So
it's about execution, though. He didn't do what he was supposed to. As a military man, Kevin can explain that. He didn't.
No.
He didn't execute.
Remember,
he didn't execute what he was supposed to do. But go ahead.
Remember, I told you when you talk of the approach or how it was done, then that one can be discussed. But in terms of him being the one withdrawing them, I don't agree with you. Okay, now let's come to African experts and how I look at, and this is why we should have this kind of conversation so that we know at the end of the day, you are on your own. There is no Biden for you, there is no Trump for you, but you can make them listen to you. You have to create that influence, and you only get it by being aware, right? Being very aware, right? Because, like, I've had my own conversations with people, and when I look at just before I come, partly people of African extraction should understand this, and that much as it's political, it's a role that African experts has to play, because for America it's different, but for me being somebody from Africa, sometimes I look at things that, hey, even Obama, his father coming from Africa, the things Obama did in Africa, my friend. So when you look at both sides, there's always something. I feel like, man, if you are of African extraction or you're a black person, always be very aware. Be very aware. And Yemi, I see you are wondering whether I'm centrist. I'll look for you and I'll tell you what I feel about Democrats. I won't say it here.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
by the way, about
Me
Africa,
too, Yemi.
Somali, Libya, touching on Yemen,
Nigeria.
oh, Nigeria, with that Boko Haram thing, the things
yeah.
that happened there were very, very, I don't always say they were bad or good. I just say they were very interesting. There are things you really have to pay attention to really understand. So
Yeah.
what I'm saying here is this. If you look at both sides, like right now, our primary goal, let us look at the Trump administration policies, right? Let us study them very well, no emotion, nothing. See what is in there that we can contribute. Because if we contribute, we will get. So we are not just taking advantage that what are we taking advantage of? How do we position ourselves to serve within those policies so that we can also benefit in the process, right?
Right.
Now, I go back to how we started, the mindset. How do we create a mindset that can process things that I can even acknowledge, right? Even these things I'm telling you guys about Obama, I acknowledge the fact that the guy's candidacy inspired me. I was in both his campaigns. I've said that, and I don't shy away from it. I have documents to prove it, so I cannot say I wasn't there. I was there.
Yeah.
So the thing is, how then do we move together by first being very understanding, being very discerning, looking at opportunities that open up? Because even when people start getting concerned that Trump will be hard on immigration, I like the way Yemi put it, legal immigration, illegal immigration. Anyway, all the people who came here before things were really structured, all immigrated here illegally and killed a lot of people. So let's not even go there. But the fact is, we take advantage of that legal immigration. America is still going to need immigrants every single day. This country doesn't have enough teachers. This country doesn't have enough nurses. And that is now why, even as African experts, what we are thinking, how do we align these opportunities that exist in this country with some people who are looking for those opportunities in Africa, right?
Yeah.
And then we bring them here. And now I also want to address the low-skilled workers that Yemi has raised. America will always need low-skilled workers, always, for you to keep the prices where they are. Because there are a lot of low-skilled jobs that the people who are born in this country will not take, even if they are jobless. Like cleaning your horses, clearing the dung from somebody's dairy farm or beef farm, picking strawberries and tomatoes from the farms. Because if somebody accepts that job and with that sun, and you are paying them well, Yemi, at $30 an hour, $40 an hour, you will be buying one tomato from Walmart at $5. You won't afford it. So much as we can politicize low-skilled workers, we can make noise about illegal immigration. At the end of the day, I only look at it from the economic standpoint. And neither party, neither Democrats nor Republicans want to fix that problem fully because they know it's bad for the economy. They'll give you all stories, but neither of them want it. Because if I were to be an advisor in any administration, I will tell them leave some window, leave some wiggle room so that we can keep the prices affordable. These are just facts. And that is why if somebody tells you any country needs only high-skilled labor and stuff like that, they are kidding. You need these people along the entire rank.
Yeah, you do.
Because there are people who said, well, farmers, that, okay, the jobs are there, but nobody are taking them. Because if you know you have the advantages and you have options, you will never take the hardest or the lowest paying jobs. So bottom line, let us just look at facts as they are, and then let us try to understand these systems, why they are the way they are. Because at the end of the day, Democrat or Republican, I know these people want to succeed.
Yeah,
And whatever works for them. In fact, there are sometimes that even if how would I put it? If somebody sees that I am a Democrat, but there's something really working for me on the Republican side, that's when you hear that people are working across the aisle, right? So if these people can work across the aisle and they're direct beneficiaries of the two-party system, we are only indirect beneficiaries. Why can't we just embrace both and look for what is working and tap into it? And
good.
I think that will really help us. Yeah.
Question. This question is for Kevin. So the question is being asked. So how can we leverage and take a position on or to benefit us from the incoming administration?
So here's what we need to do, what we must do, and what we probably won't do. Yemi and I, we obviously have different opinions on things. But Yemi, if you are ever in trouble, if you ever need me, all you got to do is call me, brother. I'm gonna come help you. I'm never gonna demonize you for being on the other side. I'm gonna be able to. Man, we can debate though. If you want to sit down and call after this, and man, we go at it at the debate. At the end, though, I will refuse to allow myself to be angry at you because you got a right to have your. But I'm gonna be passionate. But at the end of the day, so we gotta find and force ourselves to love an opinion that doesn't align with ours and do like we do in any other relationship when it gets too hot is let's table this, not throw it out, throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's table this and come back. But please, you got to come back. You can't get mad. So one positive thing is, I'll say for me, is I'm pushing myself to limits that I don't really want to go to, but I think that they are necessary because, I mean,
A lot of eyes are watching. A lot of eyes are watching.
We in the same, like, I don't know, like them people, they really in Washington, but me and if something breaks out here, me, Yemi, Sylvester, those of us in our community, am I going to be so mad at Yemi that his house is on fire and I walk by and they say, oh, that's the guy with the right or with the wrong opinion or against mine? No, man, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to help. And that's the positive thing I see out of this is for some of us, it's going to cause us to do some things differently. It's going to cause us to really think about what we say, how we say it, when we say it. Just because you can doesn't mean you always should.
Right. Some question for you, Yemi. The question is, how can we leverage and take a good position to benefit us in the incoming administration?
Like I tell people every time, and I agree with my brother Kevin. One thing is that I don't agree with labels. You know, each party has done a lot of crazy things. We could go historically or recently. We could go to people don't notice. I think about 2 years ago, they codified same-sex marriages. Guess who voted with Democrats? Republicans. So people that put this ideology thing get over their head. each president, they serve a purpose. They're there to serve me. That's the way I look at it. But on a personal level, this country is blessed. There's a reason why people risk their lives to come here. There's a
Yes.
lot of opportunities in this country.
Yeah.
People take advantage of this. Even a couple of years ago, a lot of years ago, me, just a normal person, I was able to meet Senator Barack Obama when he was running for president. And I almost had a chance of meeting John McCain. But he had to rush, because he had to get endorsed, by George Bush, after the Texas primary. So I almost had a chance to meet, this is the kind of person I am. I have friends on both sides of the coin. And, and we always debate, and there's no hard feelings. The people once in a while, people might get all worked up and all that. But this guy's, like I always tell people, these guys don't care about you. So you have to take the good out of every situation.
Right, right.
I'm always gonna root for America, regardless of who is in power. With this administration, I had money in EV stocks. I could say a lot of stuff about Biden, but I wanted to make some money. But of course, it didn't work out that way. Lost a lot of money in EV stocks and solar stocks. But one way we can take advantage of this country, we should be the change we're looking for. It's easy to get on the outside complaining about different things.
Who don't care about us?
Yes, like in my community, the reason I ran for office was I wanted to see changes in the community. The person that was there, one thing I noticed was the person was always saying, I. I'm like, no, people voted for you to be there. So we have to be community leaders. Washington is going to take care of itself.
Yep.
But we have to take opportunities in this country. This country has a lot of programs to help minorities, to help all different kind of factions. A friend of mine, I was trying to get him into IT. There's something called Texas Workforce. He got a CDL for free. Today, he's making money. He just went on an international trip. He's doing well for himself. And like I said, a lot of opportunities. I had a friend, that we went to school together in college. I tried to do the same for him. Things didn't work out.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of programs in this country. You just have to have the hard work.
Right.
Most administrations, the programs are out there. We have to take advantage, like the SBA. There's so much opportunity in this country. We have to educate ourselves, inform ourselves. There are grants out there.
Right.
Even working in, being part of local government, there's a lot of money that we get. Our roads to get the county is doing 50-50 with us. And those roads are like $1 million projects. So, in as much as we complain, we can make changes.
Right.
Register a business. You don't want to work for somebody for the rest of your life.
Correct.
Take courses, get financially literate. We can complain about ideology here and there, but one thing that's bipartisan is money. Money doesn't care if it's in the hand of a Democrat or a Republican or an independent. Hard times, come and go, but tough people stay.
Right.
So that's where our mindset should be. How can we take advantage of the opportunities in this country? And that's where we will prosper.
Prosper. Yeah. Forget about this and that, and it will be it will take care of itself if we focus on ourselves. So we have to go. Somebody asked the question, I'll probably answer it. How do we align ourselves with the Trump policies?
And there's another one. Emeka, answer the two. There's one. Can we have a session on free programs and other opportunities? I think we will, like what Yemi said there about grants,
Grant,
how it
SBA,
really works. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we should.
we'll have
Yeah.
to probably try to focus on that next week so that those people who are here could kind of understand a breakdown because also Kevin is a big time business owner and he can talk to you guys about a lot of things
But
that
what Kevin
also
in kind of business?
Kevin is go ahead, Kevin, you tell them.
I'm an IT consultant on the side. I build data centers and run data center operations for one of the platforms that we're all on.
Yes. So guys, okay, anyway, like I was saying, we will have that conversation next weekend. We want to do this every Saturday, and the reason why we're doing it at this time is because so that those who are in Africa also could have a good timing to be able to view this, because a lot of places now it's about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. PM in Africa. So we want to give them a chance. For the question of how do we align Trump policies, just like Mr. Yemi said, it's not going to be for Africans or anybody else. It's going to be for Americans. If we take care of ourselves, then anything else could happen, but it wouldn't be for the benefit of any other country but those people in America. So to that, it means that you should be able to communicate with the Africans that you know who are in this country to help work with what you need, because Trump is not going to be giving any bonuses or all this free money. He's focused on here, right? This is what it's all about. So I hope that answers your question. Before we wrap out, Sylvester, do you want to say something before we go?
Not much. The only thing I want to say, I really like the depth and the general intellectual contribution brought here. I think Kevin has a wealth of knowledge. Yemi, outstanding knowledge, very clear opinion, and I think we will have a lot going on, because at the end of the day, to those who much has been given, like you guys who have been given much in terms of knowledge that puts you in a place of influence and advantage, much is also expected. So I see you guys being a well of knowledge, a wealth of experience, and just a spring of hope for a lot of African immigrants coming here, some who are looking at coming here, some because America is the opportunity for the whole world. There are even programs we will have here that people can run right where they are back in Africa. And Africa being the new blue economy with a very youthful workforce and stuff like that, I think there's you guys an endless tap of resources, and never stop giving. That's all I want to say. And to thank you, Emeka, for making this possible. Thank you.
Absolutely. Before we go, Kevin, this is the last thing we'll talk about. You will answer this, then we'll be done. So a gentleman reached out to me yesterday. His name is Robert, and he has reintroduced himself again. And so let me read it out for you. Hello, gentlemen. I subscribed last night and I was asked to come on. I am a 20-year combat veteran, Marine. Here's the question for you, Kevin. What is your opinion on how the vets are being treated in the VA? It's horrible and it's hard because, they're having issues with housing. Do you want to say something about vets? Because I don't think you're going to depend on government money. I think you should open up your own business because they're not going to help you. But go ahead. It's for you, Kevin.
So yes, so being a vet, my father was a Vietnam veteran, stepfather, Vietnam veteran, disabled Vietnam veteran, 100%. The only other survivor of his platoon in Vietnam, the entire platoon was wiped out. He would wake up screaming at night, running through the house, just all kinds of things that we grew up with. So it's personal to me, how vets have been treated, and it's been horrible by both sides. You've got to understand there is something that's way more powerful than a Republican or a Democrat, and that is a businessman with political influence on a international level. Because you have to sway and trust that gentleman, and you should, and so What is my response? Yemi put it best. We've got a bad habit. Us. So you decide what us is. Us. We have a bad habit of not holding politicians accountable. We get mad and won't vote. We get mad and complain, but or we get mad and we won't campaign because campaigns win elections, not just votes. Campaigns win elections. Yes, yeah, I mean, it was not a great candidate, but there was a lot of factors behind that. So there's all again, there's a lot of truths. What do I say and what do we do? One, we got to love each other. We got to get more informed, and we've got to get out and do something, not just say something. And so that's what I hope that we're going to do. I was asked, "Hey man, why are you with African expats?" Well, I don't trace my history back to Italy. It was a great conversation.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. We'll be back next week, hopefully with this panel and more of us. And thank you for joining. There's so much to talk about politics. The administration hasn't even started yet, and we are on this level. Imagine what will happen when they start. But we are going to focus it based on us, not nonsense stuff that wouldn't even help us grow because we're trying to grow. You see, people are learning about the veterans status, and we are also learning about business opportunities, right? Next week, we expect people like Kevin to give finite definition because I know some people are so afraid of what to do. So he's going to give you the bread and butter of what to do. However you decide to do it, it's on your own. Go ahead, Sylvester.
Final request, and Yemi also has something to say. Final, let us also remind people, Mecca, if possible, within that 1 hour next week, let us squeeze in maybe 10 minutes for the teacher program. And that way we can also have Andrew in with the proposal and then.
Andrew, keep it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
introduce
Thank
himself.
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin, some people are asking how could you be reached? I know you send it out. I'll send it out. Yemi, please go ahead.
No, I was just saying the gentleman that said, where does he live and who's his congressperson?
Who, Robert?
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Robert, who is your congressperson? What state
Well,
are you?
you can contact me offline. So whatever concerns, we could, follow through if there's any need, any specific needs he has.
Okay. So Robert, reach out to us and we'll see. There's a delay in the messaging because when it's live, it has about 30 seconds delay. So he will hear this later. But Robert, reach out to us, send a message, and let us know who your congressperson is. What state are you in? And we will see how we could help you. There's a lot going on, and our job here is to help as many people as possible. And with that, we want to thank every single person who came in on live to ask that questions. You will get information about everyone next week. So we are going to hold that information until you join next week, Saturday, 10 a.m. CST. For those who are in Africa, if you're in Nigeria, it's about 4 o'clock. West Africa is about 6 p.m. Anyway, guys, take it easy. Have a good one. And thank everyone for joining. All right. Bye, guys.